Let's freaking go, Bryce Young. This madness needs to stop about who actually is the best quarterback in this draft. Okay, I keep hearing about Will Levis because of a Redditor saying that he is hearing that the Panthers are thinking about drafting the guy who puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Are you freaking kidding me? And for so long, I've been told, hey, CJ Stroud, did you see that game versus the Georgia Bulldogs? And it was absolutely phenomenal. But today, I'm going to, with one simple fact, share with you why Bryce Young is the far superior quarterback prospect to CJ Stroud, okay? But first, let's actually go back to this last throw. So the issue with the Georgia statement that CJ Stroud's Georgia game is what honestly put him over the top is, well, Bryce Young had a better playoff game versus Georgia than CJ Stroud had this past year, even though Bryce Young didn't win this game. And he didn't have nearly as good stats as CJ Stroud. But that wasn't the fault of Bryce Young. He was playing a tougher defense. By the way, for the second time in a month, a month ago, he tore this same Georgia defense up. And once again, you saw him getting crushed by Jalen Carter, who a lot of people think is the best player in this draft. Look at where that ball actually ended up being placed. Right there for Corey Brooks to make the catch, and he didn't do it. So on the very next play, after Bryce Young got absolutely mauled by first-round draft picks, here is another missed throw. And this is as good of a throw I have ever seen in a college football playoff. Bryce Young gets absolutely massacred again, and look at where this ball was placed, and yet again his receiver, Ajayi Hall, failed him, and I don't know why he did that front flip. But that goes to show you that the stats do not back up how good Bryce Young was in this game, by the way, versus a better Georgia defense than C.J. Stroud played. Yes, the Georgia defense this past year got lit up by one of my favorite players in the SEC, Garrett Nussmeier, and why I think Garrett is really good, he is nowhere close to being the guy that you would have thought would destroy the Georgia defense. So, it's simple. Bryce Young played better versus a better Georgia defense than C.J. Stroud ever faced. Now, I know it's just one matchup, and C.J. Stroud didn't get the opportunity to play this Georgia defense. I totally get it, but let's be honest. Bryce Young's game versus Georgia here is superior to C.J. Stroud's maestro performance versus Georgia in the playoffs. But what's very interesting here, it's not just C.J. Stroud, it's Will Levis. And look, I don't have the time to do a Will Levis film study, but let's be honest, he is not better than Bryce Young. Athletically, he's got a far better arm. Athletically, he is bigger than Bryce Young. And let me tell you what, he is one of the prettiest throwers of the football you will see mechanically. He has an absolute missile. But when it comes to processing, Bryce Young is far superior to pretty much any quarterback I have seen since Joe Burrow coming out. So, look, I'm tired of hearing it. Look at where this ball was placed. I understand Bryce Young had the game-sealing interception to Keely Ringo, and it wasn't a good throw. But it was also because he was trying to make something happen because his receivers were failing him. And one final thing, I understand that C.J. Stroud still had the game that he had when Marvin Harrison got hurt in the playoff game versus Georgia, and C.J. Stroud still put up numbers. But once again, if you keep breaking it down, Bryce Young had his best receiver, Jamison Williams, also get hurt in this game very early. So the bottom line is Bryce Young is a better NFL draft quarterback prospect than C.J. Stroud. And I should have hit the betting markets when C.J. Stroud was a heavy favorite to go number one overall because I thought the Carolina Panthers would eventually come to their senses. But what is very interesting is I don't even have C.J. Stroud as my number 2 quarterback prospect. Let's take a look at my full list. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Right now, I hope you hit the subscribe button. And look, I'm not doing this just to appease you guys, but I feel as if Anthony Richardson is the QB2 2 in this draft over C.J. Stroud. A lot of you understand the upside. One of my favorite things about Anthony Richardson is he was so good at avoiding sacks. I mean, you just can't do this any better right here. The pressure's, coming from the edge. Step up, 2 hands on the football for ball security, and then getting to the outside and turning something out of nothing. You're down by a gazillion right here. Not a gazillion, but you get what I'm saying. Down by 17, 3 possessions, 2nd and 15, and because of Richardson's heroics, he ended up making this game interesting. So, he had a few mistakes in this game, as many of you know, that fumble, but still, Anthony Richardson is my QB2. Athletically, he is the most superior quarterback in this draft, and honestly, the most superior athletic marvel we have ever seen in an NFL draft. And you see it right here, fading away, throwing this deep ball to Justin Shorter. He actually potentially could have stepped up in the pocket, but all the routes are going to the left, so he faded to the left, and look at where that ball was. It's really good stuff. So, here's the rest of my board. Coming in at number 3, I have C.J. Stroud right there. At number 4, I was leaning Will Levis, but I have low-key kind of talked myself into Dorian Thompson-Robinson at this 4 spot. I know that is one that a lot of people would disagree with, but look, DTR played in one of the best systems with one of the best supporting cast in a weaker conference with bad defenses. So I am worried about that Chip Kelly offense translating to the next level. And look at an elite running back, elite offensive line, elite run blocking, elite pass blocking, elite tight end with Greg Dulcich for most of his career, and then, of course, really good wide receivers. So, look, I understand that that's a projection, and there would need to be an offense like the Eagles or something like that that would cater to his needs, but he's not near the player I think that Jalen Hurts is. So I'm going to go DTR 4 and then Will Levis at number 5. I just don't see it with Levis. I really don't. The pocket presence, all the sacks, just the poor statistical performances. I understand he got banged up and his numbers took a deep dive. And his weapons weren't the absolute best. C-Rod didn't start the season or something like that. Offensive line wasn't good. So, look, out of all these quarterbacks, I would say, along with play calling and, to me, the most overrated coach in the SEC, Mark Stoops, I don't think his supporting cast really did him a whole lot of favors, but I am going to go Will Levis here at 5. Now, we get to me, the juiciest quarterback here, and that is Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett. I actually have Stetson at number 7. I have Jake Haener of Fresno State in at number 6, Stetson Bennett at number 7, and then we get to Hendon Hooker at number 8. Don't like him coming off the ACL. I am hearing that he's got some real opportunity to sneak into the back half of the first round. I love the Tennessee offense. I really do. I just don't know how much of that is going to translate to the next level. So we shall see with Hendon Hooker, but as of right now, I actually have him number 8. I'm a little bit lower than most on him. And I'm going to give you one little extra bonus here at the end of today's video, and it's a juicy one. I'm going to give you my deep cut quarterback that gets absolutely no love, and that is a guy out of Fordham by the name of Tim DeMorat. They put up some big numbers this year, and I understand level of competition, but look, Joe Flacco went to Delaware. Jimmy G went to wherever he went. Tony Romo, you guys know the stories, right? So I don't think Tim DeMorat's going to be any kind of big-time NFL draft prospect or big-time NFL quarterback, but I think athletically he tested really well, and I love his overall production. So just keep an eye out for the name Tim DeMorat. I think he's going to be a UDFA, and I think he's going to hold a clipboard and potentially give you a few weeks here and there as a starter. So that is my list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Am I overrating the ACL by Hendon Hooker? I mean, we're showing you Tennessee highlights from Anthony Richardson. Hooker was the far better quarterback in this game, so it's crazy to see Richardson at number 2 and Hendon Hooker at number 8. But let me know in the comment section below. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight, we are doing, some Cajun Creole pasta. Let's go!